Welcome to Acknowledge to Action, where awareness becomes impact. I am your host, Matthew Benko. This podcast is about recognizing where we are, understanding how it impacts us mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, and spiritually, and using that awareness to create meaningful, lasting change. This is Acknowledge to Action. Hi, Phil. Welcome to Acknowledge to Action podcast. I'm really excited to have our conversation today, so welcome.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, it's great. Well, thank you, because it's been a few months. I've taken a break from doing my steady, consistent recording, and this is a special episode. I mean, every episode has been special with all my guests, but this for a number of reasons, because we reconnected, and we're going to get into the details of that. And also, it comes at a pivotal time where I'm working on rebranding the Acknowledge to Action podcast and how it speaks to everyone from all walks of life. Because to date, every guest has been in the military and military service. But it started with, when I started Acknowledge to Action, it was to connect with people from all walks of life. So thank you for being here. And I'm really looking forward to what we're going to talk about today.
Thanks, Matt. It's my pleasure and honor. Yeah, thanks.
Well, it's great. I know we've had some really great conversations, non-recorded, to help prep for this. And we're going to address some of those talking points we have just through good conversation and really talking about the essence of what Acknowledge to Action is. And the MEPS piece that we talked about earlier in the week: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and social. And your professional background and everything you've done, really, you have a lot to offer today. And anyone and everyone who's listening, we could learn. We're going to have a great conversation, and there's going to be some great takeaway.
Thanks, Matt.
So we went over it, and as I was getting you up to speed with Acknowledge to Action, what the ethos and the pathos energy is behind it, let's open it up. Let's just jump right into what the spirit of Acknowledge to Action is. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you're at, how did you get there? You have a background you started your career in Disney. Well, detail that, but you started off at Disney, and then you had and have an incredible career in higher education, in all that you've done.
Yeah. So what I think about most is the concept of servant leadership. And you and I have talked, and one of my favorite sayings is, sometimes you choose the path, and sometimes the path chooses you. Yeah, I've been blessed to be working in higher education for almost 25 years now. But I started well, that's a whole nother story. We can go there. I was fortunate enough to get an undergraduate degree, right? Higher education, whether it's paid for by yourself or a GI Bill or whatever it is. I do believe that education is a game changer. It changed my life. I went to 7 middle schools and high schools from 7th grade to 12th grade in 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And the only stable thing I ever had was family story, backstory, another time. The only thing I had was going to University of Miami, being given a scholarship, being given a chance to have some kind of stability, right? So I had moved around. I don't know if that's like an analogy or not, but I have to imagine that military families, you move a lot, right?
No, it absolutely is.
Yeah, but my dad was in the Navy. I was not in the service, but it was still about every year, 7 years. And those are really formative years, right? You know, when you're young, new school, new people, new school, new people. So I did all that, and finally I got to a place where I could like be stable. That 4-year experience that gave me a chance to just like balance myself. Then I did. I was lucky. I'm probably gonna use the word blessed a lot. I was blessed enough. I got a job in technology consulting. I did that for 3 years. Went back to school because I had recognized the value of education. And I was blessed to be accepted to the Wharton School of Business. And I got, my degree. And from there, I did Disney for 5 years. Disney led me to starting my own company for 3 years. And that was during the 1990s, 2000 .com heydays. And it burnt me out. Uh, and so I landed, it's a funny story, right? I landed at going back to University of Miami.
Now, are you talking about the one in Florida, right? Because there's
Florida,
a.
yeah, not Miami, Ohio. Yeah, Florida.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying is, trying to say is, the place that gave me stability after a really bad young upcoming gave me a job offer, a chance. I went back. I'm like, I'm going to do this for a year, run their entrepreneurship program. By the way, the chairperson of the department then, when I went back, was the same person who was my mentor when I was a student, right? So, like, full circle, fate, whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens. So I go back and I think I'm going to do this for a year. And I ended up staying 5 years. So the story is, yes, I'm in education now, and I've been in education for almost 24 years, 25 years now. I I did all that. I did the corporate entrepreneurial stuff in between, and sometimes when the path chooses you, you just get landed in the right place, right? So I go back. I thought I'll do it for a year. I'll recover. By the way, I had gotten married. Our daughter had been born. When I get back there, our son is born. And again, I'm thinking I'll do this for a year and I'll get back to corporate. And I stayed there for 5 years, and I've been in higher ed ever since. I'm blessed to be at Penn State University right now in a really meaningful role. And I guess the long story short answer to that question, that prompt, is we just never know where something's going to take us, right?
For sure. You covered a lot of you. I was a lot of great information, a lot of talking points. But what I heard was you identified and you acknowledged at some point as a young man in high school, you acknowledged how education was an anchor point, a stabilizing force to for you to proceed to take action. And it was whether it was a combination of chance, circumstance, opportunity, the environment, etc. There's so many variables that go into it. But what's really powerful about your story, and to a lot of stories out there, is when you acknowledge that. When you take a thought and an idea, and you go from believing and thinking you can to knowing you can, is powerful. And I believe education is a critical key part to that. We get education, whether it's in a training environment, in a military environment, in undergrad, we're constantly learning and challenging ourselves. So that is absolutely why we're having this conversation and why I really appreciate what you're sharing, because it really speaks to the power of acknowledged action.
Thanks, Matt, but I have to give you credit. Acknowledging something is not easy. Sorry, I've learned, at least I'm speaking for myself. I've learned that in my journey. It really takes courage and strength and a lot of other things and you have so many great A words. I know it's acknowledged to action, but we've also talked about acceptance and accomplishment. It's like A to A, but it's almost A to 4.
Yeah.
You have to accept something, and well, I had to learn how to be comfortable with accepting something before I could acknowledge it. And you accept an A to A, but then there's accomplishment, right? I think it has to be okay, by way of grace, to give ourselves permission to acknowledge our accomplishments,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everything you just said, you previously said, thank you, resonates with me. But you have, for me at least, you have created a platform so much bigger than A2A because you have to accept it in the first place. And grace is not easy. For me, I am my own worst critic. There is no one harder on me than myself. I am in church every Saturday or Sunday begging for forgiveness. And I'm not sure I know why, but I'm not sure why. And then we plow through it, right? As dads, spouses, as community volunteers, we do the work. We show up every single day trying to do the work, and we do good work for others. And yet when I do that, I coached basketball in the winter and the summer for 14 years just to keep my son and his friends connected. And they're still together, which is a blessing, right? And yet the only thing I would think about is what I didn't do better or what I didn't do right. That's not, to me, I'm learning to learn that, to me, that's the accomplishment part. Maybe I didn't have to worry so much every single time about getting it right. Maybe it was just enough that I got them through the game, showed up.
It's interesting you use basketball because I've been thinking about an analogy and a direct reference. Arguably, for me, one of the most iconic sports figures in the 80s and 90s, and arguably to this day, is Michael Jordan, right? Basketball, right? And his story is incredible. So it a lot of times with sports, I think, especially basketball, it starts off with a talent. It's easy to acknowledge a talent. Oh, I could do this, and then you get better. And his story is, I guess he got cut from the high school team, and I'm probably not getting this accurate, but in high school, a coach or an organization didn't recognize his potential. He went on to North Carolina Tar Heels, right? And had an incredible career, took him to a national championship, and the rest is history with the Bulls organization, and really revitalized basketball because it was struggling in the mid 80s. So there's a lot on Michael Jordan out there, but he talks about we could see all the shots he made, look at that puff. And there's something to that because what he says, he's like, he didn't think about the shots he made. He reflected on the shots he didn't make. So when an opportunity presented itself, he would be better next time when an opportunity presented itself.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome how you talked about basketball as a coach for your son, but how that could be a life metaphor. And I think anybody who's driven, anybody who acknowledges what it takes to get better, it's very self-important to critique and acknowledge and accept. And both things, you've said this, I'm going to use this thing, two things could be true, right? You say it better. Two things could be true at the same time. So while you're acknowledging, you could accept, or vice versa. It doesn't have to be this linear, this domino has to fall before the next one does, right? It's a in progress relationship. Whether you acknowledge first and then accept, or vice versa, that puts you on a trajectory to get better. Now, we're not going to be national champions like Michael Jordan and did what he did, but in our own life experiences, when we work on that, and like you said, to be critical of ourselves and to reflect, okay, this is what I got right, but this is what I could do better. That's what I'm hearing, Phil. Like, it's not a self-deprecating shame on me for not doing this. It's more like, no, I did this, but what can I do? Because I just want to shed some light into some of your details. So you went to University of Miami in the 80s, I take it, right? Or early 90s.
I graduated 91.
That's an awesome time. Their football program was off the charts.
Interestingly, how those two themes connect, right? I never imagined that I could go to the University of Miami. I was 17, 18.
And where were you at the time? I'm sorry, I don't know. Where physically, what state were you in at the time?
So I jokingly say I'm one of 12 native Floridians. I was born in Florida. My mom worked for NASA in Rockledge, and we had been in Florida my whole life, East Coast. East Coast, yeah. And again, going back to the point of 7 families and 7 middle schools or high schools in 12 years. I never, ever imagined I would go to college. I should have washed out. I should have. How many people survive 7 literally middle and high schools
Oh
in
my
7
gosh.
years? By the way, my parents were my original, well, what's the right word? My parents were married and divorced, and then each remarried and divorced 4 times on each side. So as a kid, I went through, well, I was an infant in the first few years, but after that, I went through at least 4 different family permutations on each side, my mom's and my dad's.
Mhm.
Finally, I get through all that, and I'm like, I'm going to apply to colleges because I have no choice. Like, and I'm not blaming them because I love them dearly. And about what happened to my dad is a separate story because it still affects me today. It's about genetics and mental health and well being. And there's a really great book called The Inherited Mind. And it does a wonderful job talking about how I have what I've learned to come to understand. I have what's called genetic predisposition, right? I am dual diagnosis and I have genetic predisposition. Did I wish for that? Did I want that? No, I was born into that. So the thing is, I've come to learn, okay, so how do I survive that? How do I manage that? So because of all of those other experiences I just explained, I'm like, I have to get an education. Have to what do I have? I don't have control over my genetics or my mind or my past or my being. How do I figure out what I can do something about, right? So for me, that was education, right? So I applied to 3 different schools. I'll name them. Why not? University of Florida and Stetson College. Trying to remember the name. And I got accepted to all 3. Miami, most people don't know, many people don't know that University of Miami is a private institution, college, school. It's
Okay.
not part of the state public system, right? So it's very expensive. um, I'm like, what the heck? I'm just going to go there. And I went there and I struggled and suffered in debt. And I got lucky, blessed, again, the word blessed, that 2 years in, the chairman of my department and the dean said, hey, there's something in this kid.
Mm.
There's something in this guy. They helped me with scholarships. They helped me get through my last couple of years. I just finished paying off my student loans about like a year and a half ago.
Oh wow.
For both in Wharton and UPenn. We'll talk about that next. So to the point of the power of education, it changed my life. It broke a cycle of, I don't want to say poverty, but I literally lived in a trailer park.
It changed. It sounds like it changed the narrative. What you thought was expected, what you turned thoughts and ideas into actions and into believing in yourself. And you mentioned the A words, right? 2 other big A words that I love is access and accountability. And by you applying for college, those 3, and you getting what was an access point for you, which
Yes.
put you on path to be hold. Most importantly, I can't emphasize this enough, for you to hold yourself accountable to the best way you knew how at the time. And when you do that, other people see that too. That's whether it's this metaphysical energy that manifests itself, or it's a very logical, this person has his stuff together, we're going to reward him. And accountability is a good thing. Sometimes people, let's hold him accountable. Accountable means opportunity. And there's a responsibility to it. That's what I'm hearing. So I just wanted to throw a couple more A words out there that really speak to the acknowledge to action as well. Access and accountability. And you are detailing that in a very incredible way, to where you identified education is a tool in the life hack toolbox to refine that and to get better.
Yeah, Matt, absolutely. What's it they say? the saying, with great with power comes great responsibility, right? Whatever.
Yeah. I think that was Uncle
Spider-Man.
Ben, Uncle Ben to Peter Parker,
Uncle
right?
Ben, right? Yeah, I love. Yeah. But you make a great point. I could have wallowed in past and my circumstances,
Hmm.
right? But I was given access. I was given opportunity. So I had an accountability to do something with that.
Yeah.
So many people are not given the access in the first place.
Or they don't even know how. They don't know where to start.
Yeah. So I love what you're saying, and you're just literally making me think about this right now. I knew my circumstances, I knew my situation, and with every access opportunity I was given, I knew I had a responsibility to do something with it.
Mm.
Well, felt. Well, no, I actually just realizing this right now, but something kicked in with me that said, "You got to. This is a chance. You have to. You have to seize the access, seize the opportunity, and be responsible for that chance, that opportunity." Because so many people in life do not get those chances.
That's what I find so intriguing, and that's why these conversations are so motivating. Is when that happens, because when you acknowledge something, you can't unacknowledge it. It's there. You know, with that's movies are great and music is great, but they're great reference points. Saying in the Matrix, ignorance is bliss. Like you can't. Well, once you learn something, you acknowledge something, and you know what it is. You can't go backwards, or at least in a logical, sort of healthy way, right? So
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
when you acknowledge it, it's an empowering piece. And I really appreciate another good way, another good A word. I really appreciate how you said acknowledge is hard. It takes courage. You have to be brave to do it. And it is work. It's work. And that's why when we hear stories like this, and you share your story, if somebody who's lost in translation, because I'm even more intrigued by your story, hearing that moving 7 times, dealing with those family dynamics, like you said, at such a critical, pivotal time where ideally every kid should just have like a good baseline where they don't have to deal with that. Those are your circumstances. You rose above it. Another full quote, right? Like what uh, um, rising
Lifts all
waters.
ships.
What's that?
Rising water lifts all ships.
Yeah, and you kind of did that not on your own. It's never honorable. Like this wolf, this lone. You're never alone. Lone wolves are isolated. They're hungry. They end up dying if they don't have their pack that they connect with.
Matt, there are angels among us. Rodney Atkins, going through hell, keep on going. It's a great song. I play it every day. Well, Matt. I've through our conversations, I'm so happy to have reconnected, and I struggle with the things I struggle with. So this is just about struggling through what I struggle with. But that's what I've learned, right? I'm not going to be ashamed of myself. Grace, mercy, compassion are all amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
We only connect when we communicate, when we talk. I'll tell the story. I was a vice president of a college. We were blessed to have you come in and serve our institution like you served in the military, and you always served for years. You did more in those years to make things better for veteran students and our teams, my teams, our teams, than anyone had done before or has done since. Again, that's me talking to myself in my head. Sometimes we choose the path, and sometimes the path chooses us. And you did all of that. And the institution that we were at is unequivocally so much better today because of your leadership, your knowledge, your ability to take purpose, practice, protocol, and passion, but make it tangible, right? Make it work for human beings. And I think in education, right, that's what we're doing. We're trying to help people change their lives. That the story, I'm going to go to the Wharton story. Education changed my life.
Yeah.
I came out of a, I'm going to say it. I can now. I get to own it. That's fine. I came out of a horrible set of circumstances as a kid. But the message I took was, it's a good bad message. You're on your own. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Either it beats you or you beat it. So I beat it through the experience, and I did a job for 3 years, and I was lucky and blessed, again the word, to go to the Wharton School of Business at University of Pennsylvania. It was the most challenging 2 years of my life ever. What they say is, it's like, imagine a fire hydrant, right? And you rip the cap off and the water comes at you. You're drinking that water and trying to survive.
Drinking water from a fire hose. That's a very applicable metaphor in the military training too, depending on, yeah, it's
Which
very,
is where I'm going, right?
yeah,
I'm never going to step into that space because my dad served, I didn't. But maybe there are some analogies. Like the metaphor was, you rip the cap off the fire hydrant and you just try to survive drinking that flood
yeah,
of water for 2 years. I did. I landed Disney. Disney takes me to my entrepreneurial company experience. I never chose any of these paths. I'm finally coming to realize that they were gifts that were given to me, that I just, one, had to be lucky enough to survive in the first place during the experience. But now I reflect on them and I'm like, that's where the sometimes the path chooses you comes in. I am in a position currently at Penn State University that I could have never imagined myself being. That is a gift that has been given to me by the universe, by grace, by God. One of my kiddos is a third year aerospace engineering student here. I am 14 minutes away from if and when that kiddo ever needs anything. Life brought me, and third year, by the way, third year of aerospace engineering for anyone is brutal.
I could, yeah, I could only imagine what that entails.
Well, so here's the side story, right? It's like that kiddo was a sophomore and junior during COVID years at home, online schooling, not going into politics or circumstances. He is I'm gonna give you two videos. I'm all over the place. My mind works this way. Just please bear with me. I'll give you two video recommendations. But my other video, my thing is also Rodney Atkins. He's mine, and you'll share, right?
So that's the song that's got you're dedicating.
Well, I'm gonna do that one and Going Through Hell.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's,
It's pretty simple. The first one is, if you're going through hell, just keep on going. You might just get out before the devil even knows you're there.
wow, I like that.
The second one is He's Mine. Give me a sec. Because in February, I'm going to post his birthday. He's mine. I love him unconditionally. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. You can't turn it off like electricity. I'll take the blame and claim him every time. Yeah, y'all, he's my son. Lifts me up. So I think I lost the thread with that before. But, having had the opportunity to go to Wharton changed my life and my family's life. It allowed me, as a dad, as a father, as a husband, as a partner, to be able to do for them all the things I wanted them to do. 7 schools, 7-year story. that was never given to me. Why? Why was I deserving of that? Maybe I was deserving of that because I didn't have it as a kid, but as a dad. And I have to think about veterans in this context. You serve and you serve and you serve. We right? We are deserving of things, not because we want them selfishly, but because we've done the work. We've shown up day in and day out and tried to just do the best we could while dealing with all that we're dealing with.
I agree, and so everything you're saying. I want to say something about the military community because I had a unique military career, and I'm not going to detail that now. But in short, I was just
You should give yourself credit for all you've done, Matt.
But I want to give like the macro version to reinforce or to complement what you're saying. And with 23 years of service between active duty and then the Air National Guard, all while managing a civilian career, it took me a while to acknowledge how challenging that is. And when I was in grad school, the class I was in at the time was group dynamics, a really awesome class. My whole graduate degree was a great experience and a learning experience for a lot of the reasons that you've experienced as well. I too identified at a younger age, the two anchor points in my life. Well, first one was military. And then when I got off active duty, I realized, okay, what's my next anchor point? And that was education. And then fast forward a couple years, getting back into the Air National Guard, I had those two anchor points at the same time. And it just worked for me. And so I empathize through experience, everything you're saying. And my point here, what I want to say to complement what you're saying is what I learned in group dynamics. I can't remember the syllabus or some of the details, but one of the sayings was the microcosm reflects the macrocosm. And that is what the military veterans, we come from all walks of life and we have our microcosm, but that's reflective of the big world, the macrocosm. And that's linking it back to your story, to acknowledge action, all walks of life, whether it's the military, education, entrepreneurship, going through hell without the devil acknowledging that we're there. We all have that in our own way. And that's what I want to share to your story, to complement. The microcosm reflects the macrocosm. And we could all relate. To me, our experiences are about building bridges, not putting up walls. And I think I've been there in my own way. I felt like I was building a wall based off my military experience because I was frustrated. I was overwhelmed. I wasn't ready to acknowledge it. I wasn't ready to accept how challenging it was. So I retracted. And one more point, because I want to put the ball back in your court, is there's a difference between being alone and isolated to the path of solitude. And I think the path of solitude is important, and we all need to take that to identify our strengths. And again, in different cultures, they have walkabouts. They have these challenging situations. And in modern day U.S. culture dynamics, it's education. You have to have it all figured out by your 17, 18, and you darn well better be on that path. That's a generalization, but we need access. And I want to go back to one last thing is you nailed it, Phil. You said you earned it. Like the administrators and the leaders at University of Miami saw value, baseline value in Phil at, when you went there at 18, 19. And you continue to show up. You continue to be you. And that's the beauty in this. And when you really lean into being you and you own it and you accept it, that's not hard. That doesn't mean it's easy street. It's easy sailing. It just means now you have a path to work on to make that path better. And it sounds like that planted the seed. I know we were talking last week about bamboo. You plant the seeds and it takes 5 to 10 years for it to sprout. Then boom, once it sprouts, look out. The bamboo's there and there's value in bamboo. There's all sorts of applications for bamboo and whatnot. And I think that's what your 20s and 30s, at least it was for me. It just took a little bit while to plant that seed. It took me a little bit longer to catch up. Anyway, I could go on and on. I'm like you. I get excited. I get motivated about these conversations, but I wanted to share that
Well, Matt, that when we talk, we have this energy, this synergy that's just organic, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and that's the way life should be, right? Live it out loud. We interrupt each other, we overtalk each other, we just, but that, and I used to think I had to feel like as a professional that that was a bad thing. You have to be respectful. You have to agendas and meeting minutes and item. No, just get into a conversation with a fellow human being
Yeah.
and have fun with it. The bamboo thing is really funny for me because when we lived in Seattle, we had bamboo trees.
Okay.
So the only bad thing about bamboo trees is they just
Yeah.
grow
Yeah.
uninhibitedly. So you do have to tend your own field, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there comes maintenance with that. Like any, like it's like no, that's even more of a next level
Metaphor, right?
metaphor.
It's like,
Yeah,
sometimes blessings can be curses.
yeah,
So maybe the point is we just have to figure out how to manage both, right?
yeah,
Matt, you give a platform and a voice to areas that are just really important. You have allowed me to be my authentic self. I struggle, well, I'm okay. I'm 56 years old. I have been struggling with mental health issues since I was 12, 14, 16. Decades ago, no one, rightly so, it's fine. I get it. The environment that we live in today that accepts those things, which I'm so happy for, because I have two kiddos who deal with it, and they went through a middle school and high school and social media. I'm not going to say any names of the companies experience, right? But you open up a platform to allow us, whether we're dads, moms, friends, families, whatever, to explore and accept how hard it is just to be us. Right? I never, you know this story. I was never on I was on a social media platform until March or April of this year. And I joined LinkedIn. Joining LinkedIn was a way for me to journal, which is a good healing therapy a practice, as I best understand it. So I joined LinkedIn and I just started posting stuff because it was a way for me to journal out loud. And my first post was, I would say humbly, a complete and unabashed description of the life I had lived, encompassing all this that we've talked about, actually,
yeah,
through. And I was so scared to just tell my story, but I finally hit a breaking point mentally from my mental health perspective that I could not do it. I could not do it, right?
yeah. It speaks to you can't unacknowledge. You acknowledged it. You knew you had to take action, but really
Yeah,
understanding
yeah.
how difficult that is.
And Matt, yeah, that's brilliant, right? Like, so my last kind of, I'm thinking about it now. The last part of my commentary, it's not about me. I don't care about me. It's not a drive or a push. But, like, as I remember the last part of that commentary, and it was inspired by the Travis Manning Foundation, right? If not me, then who?
Mm,
I looked around at LinkedIn, which I love, good platform, not saying anything bad. And all people talk about there is like professional stuff. I'm like, why can't we talk about personal stuff as well? And so that Wharton inspired entrepreneurial creative driven guy in me said, I'm just going to go there. And I only told I only first and ever have told my story on LinkedIn. And again, I had like over 100 positive affirmating comments.
Yeah.
So we have to, why this is the entrepreneurial piece, and you and I have talked about this. It's okay to challenge norms. It's okay to rethink boundaries. If you don't like what I'm saying from a personal standpoint on LinkedIn, then unfollow me or comment negatively or don't comment at all, right? That's on you. That's not on me. So that was kind of that's closure to the Warden story. I challenged myself. I made it. I survived. I have to imagine anyone and everyone who served in the military has that same story. I've posted about how I love the Netflix series Boots because it just speaks to humanity and courage and friendship and survival. We all have. So I'm going to close. I'm going to wrap up and let you close.
Okay.
You have been so gracious to me. I hope this has been okay. I listen to Lauren Daigle's song video, I Believe, every day. In my recovery journey, they talk about meditation and other things. What I learned is to not listen to what everyone says you should do. I suck at meditation, but I excel at music.
Mm.
Music is my meditation. When I think I am strong, when I think I am weak, you say I am strong. I listen to that video and a playlist every morning to make myself feel better about myself, to get through the day. Everyone else told me I should be doing meditation. I don't do meditation well. And I listened and I listened and I listened to them forever. And I finally said, to myself at least, I understand that you're a professional and you're good at what you do, but what you are telling me, and I know you're trying to help, but what you are telling me is not working for me.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 2 years to figure that out. How many veterans are needing to take time to figure out what works for them? And are they getting the help they need? How many students with disabilities? So the only lesson I've learned is there's a lot of really good and well-intentioned people out there. We have to give ourselves authority, agency, autonomy to figure out what works best for ourselves.
So you answered one of the closing questions. What message do you have that you can share with listeners? Can you say that one more time so it is very accessible? Because I need to hear that again, what you just said.
Are we okay on time? Because I'll try to be.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Here's my story. Take it if it's worth anything or helps. There's a difference between treating symptoms and treating problems. Quick analogy, right? Like, I have a sore throat. I go and say to the people, I have a sore throat. They're going to give me cough drops. What I actually had was strep throat. They didn't take the time, and they're busy, and I get it. People are people, life happens. But they didn't take the time to understand what I was really dealing with. Okay. So 2 years ago, I know I'm having struggles. I literally go to a psychiatrist and have my conversation. And I get medication. Because I said the wrong things, the medication was wrong. I'm suffering. I think I'm suffering from anxiety and depression. And you've been gracious about this, Matt. Thank you. PTSD. So they give me a medication. I find out, fast forward a year later, that they gave me the right medication for those things, but those things were not the right things. We have to figure out, and so I've learned in the journey to be an advocate for ourselves, to ask the right questions. Matt, you can help me with this, right? It's okay to ask for help, but if you ask for help, you have to ask for help as a veteran, I would imagine, in particular, for the right things. It's not on us to figure out what the right things are. We need our support systems and those around us to help us figure out and understand what the right things are.
Yes.
I was suffering. What I should have said is my fault, or the system's fault or whatever, right? I learned what I should have said is I am experiencing this A,
Mm,
B, and C. If you are going to help me, can you help me understand and what to do about A, B, and C?
yeah. That is the way you just detailed that is so important. Just that little shift called a paradigm mind shift.
Yeah.
Detailing those symptoms, acknowledging the symptoms versus jumping to this narrative, you're X, Y, and Z. We're jumping to X, Y, and Z before we're even acknowledging and processing and accepting what ABC is. And then it's misplaced, misguided action that we take or engagement. And sometimes we have to take the wrong turn to figure out where we're going to get to our destination. And that's whether sometimes we're going to go through hell, but you want to get through there before so many good parables here and so many good metaphors. And just taking the time to give yourself the opportunity to, hey, it's okay. I don't have it figured out. This is tough. This is hard. It's not going to happen overnight. I need help. And just acknowledging that and identifying I need help because I'm experiencing ABC is bringing it back to the acknowledge piece, is the acknowledge and accept piece.
Yes.
Because then we go through the motions of processing, planning, and eventually getting to action and getting connected with the right resources. That psychiatrist you may have been good for somebody else or is maybe good for you now, but having that relationship with yourself first and understanding meeting yourself where you're at is a darn hard thing to do sometimes. You get lost in translation, you're overwhelmed and all that. But it speaks to the MEPS component of that. Now, people in the military hear MEPS, military interesting processing station. MEPS for me is a well-being way of life now. Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and social. Those 5 pillars. I added another S on there because it's beyond just a station. It's spiritual and social, right? We should always be constantly inventorying. Sometimes we need to focus more on the mental piece. Sometimes it's more emotional. Sometimes we're like taking care of ourselves physically. And I love what you said, how like it's a real go-to. Oh, meditate. Well, what does that mean? That's a very dynamic thing. That's an X, Y, and Z thing. But you could get to X, Y, and Z through music, through exercise, through hiking, having our dogs, animals, and that's a whole nother side. So recognizing what works for you is what's important. Having that tool in your toolbox. I would like to say the more tools we have in our life hack toolbox, the better. So we know which one to draw upon in a given moment, whether it's right now, hey, it's a mental thing. All right, this is my mental drawer or my tool. Oh, no, this is a spiritual situation. Here's some tools to help get the job done or to address the situation at hand. And it doesn't even have to be a job. It's never done. I think life is an ongoing race it's objective after objective after objective.
It's a marathon, right?
But there's no end. It's a marathon. You just keep going. And I'm not a marathon runner, but what I understand and what I hear with runners is when you get into your stride, you get that runner's high. And there's other points. It's like, it's arguably unbearable, but you just find a way to keep going. But it's cyclical as far as what you experience and
You're
all
right.
that.
Yep.
I believe we all have those journeys in our own in all of our own unique way. And we are all in this post-military MEPS. I say post-military MEPS because it's but we're all in our MEPS from the day we were born to the day we leave this earthly encapsulation.
Yeah.
Well, we're dealing with all those components and dealing with change and the variables that come with it. And when we embrace it, we acknowledge it and own it and give ourselves the grace, the mercy to get through it and to empower ourselves to make good better. That's really what it's about. That's what this represents. And I want to thank you for you, and this is not to have a play on words, but for you acknowledging what we talked about, and because our history goes back, it was very professional, and recently it's become more personal. And there is that's an important, like in a professional context, yeah, but it is like one thing. I'm going off on a little bit of a rant
You
here,
keep going. I'm totally happy.
you know, when people say, "Oh, don't take it personal," relax. No, that's all I know. That's all I know who I am personally.
We are humans. We have to take it personally.
Yeah, like
Who we are and what we do.
yeah, like it is personal. Everything, every time when we open up our eyes and we're in a conscious state, it's personal. It is.
And I'm gonna interrupt you, and this could be a teaser for something coming up.
Yeah.
We never know where life takes us, right? The fact that you were part of our team for 3+ years was one of the best blessings of my professional life. We never know where things are going to take us. I am most humbled because I think humility is really an important word. Not word, state of mind.
Yeah.
Yes, I was the vice president. Yes, I'm a acting vice provost. I don't care about my title. And I have to imagine on the military side, titles matter. I have to. Who cares about titles? We don't always, even with a title, get treated fairly. That's not what life is about. Life is about human and personal connection. Our story is our path crossed for a few brief moments, and here we are today. Is that not what life is not about? Humility, humanity, destiny, fate, the unknown. You are doing amazing work. I hate to use the word work because, I think for you it's more a passion and purpose than work with A2A. But because you have been open to reconnecting, exploring that A2A A words are actually more A words. And that's the journey of life.
Yeah.
And isn't maybe perhaps question, I'm still learning this myself, isn't perhaps the question journey how to keep embracing the journey of life? When we think something is, and I'm going to go back to boots, forgive me, sorry, because I picked up, I'm a vocabulary person, words matter to me. It's about what's in your pack. From a military respectful reference standpoint, it's about what's in your pack. And if all of the A words that you are promoting, encouraging, supporting are in your pack, are you not better for that? I have to think so. I have to hope so.
Yeah. That's a great way to have a conclusion message to what we talked about today. Like what's in your pack, and some things we have to, like, how'd that get there? And if it's not useful or of value, hey, you have the autonomy. Another A word. You have the autonomy to remove it and replace it with what you want. So okay, so somebody put meditation in your bag. Well, you said it took you 2 years. You took the generalization of meditation out and put music in there.
Yes.
Yeah, or it was there, but it became more of a priority. So that's so important, and that's a critical foundation. So yeah, I think this is a great stopping point, because this is what we're going to continue to stay connected. The power of connection, collaboration, networking, social media, but this absolutely is a positive byproduct, because social media is a beast. It is.
Yeah.
There's good, there's bad, there's a lot in between, right? But this absolutely, I mean, positive psychology, which came out of UPenn, focus on the good while being aware of the challenges that come with good.
Right.
We can talk about Star Wars and the balance of the Force, but anyway, I digress.
No, I'm with you. I got you. I totally agree.
So just because I know we've talked a lot about music today, what were those 2 songs again? Because then that'll be a good outro to this.
All right.
Episode.
You got it. So Rodney Atkins, songs, videos, whatever. Going through hell. If you're going through hell, just keep on going.
Keep on going. Okay.
You might get out before the devil even knows you're there.
Yeah, that's great.
Second one is he's mine.
Okay.
Hate to end this way. The three greatest blessings in my life are my wife and my kids, and my son in particular lifts me up. He's a human being. He makes mistakes. We all do. He's a third-year aerospace engineering major. I love him. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'll take the blame, and I'll claim him every time. Yeah, y'all, he's mine. Sorry, Matt.
No, but don't be. This is good. This is.
The message is unconditional acceptance. As dads, as parents, as people, what does it take to just love our kids and support and accept them unconditionally?
I can't think of a better way to kind of wrap up what we talked about. Your passion, geez, I'm at a loss for words here.
I listen to that song every day. It just tries to remind me, just be loving, just be kind,
Yeah.
just be accepting. Sorry.
No. There's not. That's what this is all about. This is great. I see everyone watching this, seeing this, sees the passion, sees your integrity, sees your authenticity. You took challenges, learn from them, and refuse to let that define you in terms of an anchor of holding you back. You use it as a platform, using education and going through that, and you pass that to your son in ways that are intangible. We could sit here and go down the list, but thank you for sharing that. Honestly, like just being authentic, acknowledging this and being vulnerable, it's a beautiful thing, and we need more of it. We need more of this. And that's what this represents. So Phil, thank you. This is an incredible message. We have a lot of resources to share, and yeah, this is just an incredible access point.
Thank you, Matt. I'm humbled that you would even have considered having me join. I am so amazed, thankful, impressed. The platform that you're doing has got to be a great thing. So yeah, just thank you for letting me be part of it, and I really, really hope you keep up the great work.
All right. Well, on that note, Phil, thank you again. This is really helping keeping the momentum of acknowledge to action and the essence of it, and helping all that it means to me and those who've been a part of it so far.
Thank you. I really appreciate it greatly. Thanks.
As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave you with this. Growth doesn't begin with having all the answers. It starts when we take the time to acknowledge where we are mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, and spiritually. Taking an honest inventory of your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences is the starting point. From there comes acceptance, not resignation, but clarity. And with clarity comes the power to choose your next step with purpose. So as you move forward from this moment, remember this. Be brave enough to face your truth. Be strong enough to take action when and where it matters. And be grounded enough to walk your path with intention and integrity. This is where awareness becomes action. This is the path to purposeful, meaningful growth. Until next time, be strong, be brave, be true to yourself. This is Acknowledge to Action.